Say when. Yeah, when. All right, we shall start, go back a bit. The fourth line from the beginning of this section begins with the word hadugma on page of the Aleph.
Fourth line of
second
paragraph?
Yeah. The second, this one. Yeah, that begins with the word illu v'yolo. V'zehu they explained before, that introduction to what we're learning, that illu v'yolo is only, so to speak, not in the mahus, not in the etzem adova, not in the mitzius. This is where illu v'yolo is shaykh. This is the principle of hishtalshalus. Hishtalshalus means chaining down from the cause to the effect. And what is the relationship, as we explained about the relationship between illu and v'yolo, is that the illu places itself into the illu, and the illu has an aspect of the illu. This is how we change down. V'zehu, okay, and this chaining down is possible only in that which is called a ha-arah, not in that which is called etzem. Ha-arah, we tried very much to identify, to define the word ha-arah. Ha-arah is essentially the same meaning from which it comes, but it lacks the whole presence. It only has the effect of it. We had many mishorim on this. One mashal that we have for this, which I think is quite clear. When you're in somebody's presence, somebody's home, and he's present in the home, his presence overwhelms, so to speak, the whole mitzias. Every crack and crevice, everything that occurs in the home represents his presence, him. His actual presence. Then you could be in his home and he's absent. He himself is not there, but it's still his home. And therefore, since it's his home, you treat it with a similar deference, with similar respect, as if you were there. But there's a difference. Because at this point you only have a ha-arah of his presence, not his actual presence. It's still him that you are recognizing. It's still his. You're still relating to him, but not directly to the inyan that he stands for, essentially. In the level of etzem it's not shaykh the inyan of the hishtalshalus. But in the ha-arah, in that which it represents, there is a inyan for hishtalshalus. This ha-arah can be can be recognized at its essential level as it comes from the source, and it can be recognized at much further down its effect. We can speak about more, but I think we already discussed it in multiple ways. Okay. So now we're starting from the line that begins with the Roshativis illu. That is 4 lines from the beginning of the section that begins with the word Hadugum Mizeh on page Tzadik Aleph.
4th line?
Huh?
The 4th line, you said?
4th line. V'zehu, thus, this is what's meant, this meaning that which we finished saying, that in the etzem is not possible, not applicable, the whole meaning of each of illu v'yolu, because it's not comprehensive. Illu v'yolu means that the olu, that we can understand the illu, but in the etzem we cannot understand. Ein musag. So therefore the whole meaning of illu v'yolu is not applicable. V'zehu, and thus this too is meant by what he says, the meichin the abba l'malam hishtalshalus. The meichin of abba, which means the moyach of chokhmah, is l'malam hishtalshalus, is above hishtalshalus. Hishtalshalus again means that this is the principle of illu v'yolu. Meichin the abba is above hishtalshalus. This needs elaboration, as we shall see, because this is moichin. Moichin means it's part of the structure of the seichel. Why is this above hishtalshalus? Moichin the Abba refers to Abba is chokhmah, and as we explained yesterday, there is Abba and Ema. Ema, it develops a child. The mother develops a child completely. But the initial force behind the child comes from Abba. That initial force, this is an intangible force, a force for creation. Moichin the Abba is l'mayla mehishtalshalus. Cannot be understood, cannot be participating in hishtalshalus, because it cannot be grasped and understood. V'ho'inyan, to elaborate on
this call, press 1. Returning to the conference room.
To elaborate on this inyan, how do we? What is the insight, so to speak, of this inyan? The inyan is this: Hini yodua, for it is known. The Chokhmah ubino hein riyah ushmiyah. Chokhmah ubino at a lower level, on the function, on the koiches level, this is riyah and shmiyah. This is comparable to sight and hearing, and we transfer it to riyah and shmiyah because that is very clear to us. That is something which we can tangibly discuss, and we know the principle. The ein oidoi meshmiyah riyah. That this is a statement, as we explained yesterday. This statement over here, the end of the day, doesn't really explain anything. But it clearly gives you, so to speak, the blanket statement enough for you to be able to delve into your own seichel and see that there is a fundamental difference between Shmi and Riyah. You don't even have to elaborate. In a day, Shmi and Riyah. Shmi and Riyah do not compare to one another. Before you even begin to elaborate and to think into it. It's not comparable at all. This in that they're not comparable means they're not comparable even at the onset. It's not the degree to which you know something. It is what you know. But Shmiya, what you know Riyah is completely different. V'ha'efresh b'neihem. But the difference between them, between Riyah and Shmiya. Yodua is known, the Shmiya hu merochik. That Shmiya functions, and it brings knowledge merochik from a distance. Distance from where? Distance from its source. Which means you do not really experience the presence of the source. You know about it. That's make me logic. V'hainu, which would mean, when you know it, miroch, it means rag hasogas mitzius hadover. All you have, if it's from a distance, you can comprehend mitzius hadover, the presence of this thing. The presence means the fact that it takes up room, so to speak. Not where it's coming from, not what it stands for, but the fact that it exists. That's what you know from a distance. Or the in contrast to the Iyo sight, is mikorev, is from close up. And what and close up means not a distance close up. Close up means that you have a relationship with what you see. You know from close proximity, it means you know the essence of it, what it stands for. That's what we call it. Shehu, which is Riyas Etzem Hadover. It is Riyas, the seeing, Etzem Hadover, the very essence of this thing. And we already pointed out that Etzem Hadover is not a tangible aspect. Tangible is Mitzias. Etzem Hadover is the essence of this thing again. And here it is necessary for us to kind of try to define or identify what is this Etzem Hadover come. If it is not tangible, if it does not have a presence, so what is it? What is it? What's the basis of speaking about it? And the answer is, as we discussed yesterday, Etzem Hadover, this is the way it is present in its source. Like Seichel is present in Rotzen. We'll have to keep it brief because it's too much to talk about it, but everyone understands. Rotzen is a real force. Seichel is not a force. It doesn't compel you to follow through on it. It only argues its point. Rotzen is compelling. It's a real force in its own right, because Rotzen is rooted in the fact that there is a nefesh, the fact that there is a true presence, a true neshama. A real human being has a rotzen. And this is what's called Etzem Hadover. The Etzem Hadover means the essence, as the essence exists in its inception, which is at a higher level than its presence. Why is the essence in its inception? Because inception immediately tells you that there is a truth about it that brings it into being, even though it's not there yet. It means inception. There's nothing there, and yet you conceptualize it. Why? Because there's a truth about it that makes it be even before it is there. Because of its essential reality, truth. This means Etzem Hadover.
we're using Re'iyah, physical sight, as a mashal for the way that Chokhmah gets the essence of a thing. Okay.
Right. That's a very good point. It's physical sight, and the secret in this is that even though it's physical sight, what you're looking at is not that which is physically visible. What you're looking at is that which makes this real. Why is it there? This is what sight alludes to. Like we said many times, if you enter a room and you see tables and chairs, this is a bismedrash. What's a bismedrash? It's tables and chairs. Because Re'iyah relates to the reality behind it.
So our physical sight bears witness or announces significance. It tells you.
It doesn't announce. It relates. It doesn't. You can't announce significance. It identifies with.
Right.
Like we said the other Teufis be'atzonov.
Right. There are tables and chairs, but the real deal is it's a base medrash, and the sight, the physical sight, gets that.
The physical sight relates to that.
Relates to that. Fine.
That's what it relates to.
Okay. No. Okay. And
1 second. Since you try to go into this, let's reflect for a moment. When you touch something, you feel the object that you're touching. There's something that compels you to know of it because you're touching it. Sight is totally inobtrusive, totally intangible. It doesn't affect you in any which way. It remains in its place. It's not compelling in itself. So how come you see it with such verity, with such conviction? Because the conviction element that you're seeing is not the physical thing that you're seeing, but what it stands for.
Okay, so here,
if you came into Bismedrash, you came into Bismedrash and you saw the Bismedrash, then you say, I'd like to see it.
On this call, press 1.
I'd like to see it
Returning to the
again.
conference room.
like what?
I'd like to see it again. What are you trying to see again? The tables and chairs? What draws you back to see it again, and again, and again? What it stands for.
Right, so the physical sense of sight gets the what it stands for.
Again, the word "gets" is incorrect. Relates to.
Relates to it, fine.
What it stands for, you can't get. It is not Bahasoga.
And it's not by the physical either.
Well, it's not physical either. Physical is only representing it.
Okay, fine. A little earlier we had that Abba is Chokhmah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Abba is L'mayla mised hishtalshalus.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it seems Chokhmah is actually the beginning of consciousness.
Oh, so there is we have to wait a few more lines here to get the final point over here. Okay.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
It seems to me that when you enter a base medrash, like you say, okay, you take in tables and chairs, but you know it's a base medrash, but that's not based on, that's not a re'iyah dika thing, that's a shmiya dika thing.
No, small. You're off. What you're interested in is what it stands for. It immediately tells you there's something more than what meets the eye. Yes.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? That's your prerogative. This is how human beings relate to things. Okay. Saying ha-chokhmah.
Sorry, one other thing.
What?
One other point. The You're saying the Chokhmah gets etzem adava, the truth of the matter. But just a moment ago we had the way that Seichel is kind of lower than Ratzon. So seemingly Seichel would not get etzem adava.
That's right. And this I said we have to wait a couple more lines.
Okay.
Chokhmah in effect, the etzem HaChokhmah is really above Seichel, as we shall see.
Okay.
Re'iyas etzem hadover, and I explained the principle of Re'iyas etzem, to see the etzem hadover. Sight is totally without effort. It does not reach up to you, it doesn't touch you, and yet you see it. Let's reflect for a moment. What can you see without being affected and touched by it? Okay, this is a challenging question. You can see, what can you see without being affected? The pure truth. Pure truth does not have a presence of definition. Let's step back a bit. Pure truth is not a worldly phenomenon. The world does not have pure truth in itself. The world is a creation. We are used to thinking in terms of on the worldly terms. False. This is not the pure truth. The world doesn't even exist on its own. The world was created. And there's a creator behind it. And there's the reason it's there is because the creator wants it to be, not because the world wants to be. The world doesn't even have a will to be. So what you see, when you see the world, you see the reality, the will of the Creator. Just as in our Mashonim, if you see a table or you see a home or whatever it is, you see the will of the owner rather than the object that you see. That's the real presence. This is what we're saying. You see a Bismedrash, you see what is it about? What initiated it? Okay. Which refers to Re'iyas Etzem Hadover, seeing the essence of the thing. Etzem Hadover means the way the thing is, it's in its inception before it came into being. Which is in fact the Etzem Hadover, seeing Etzem Hadover. This is the inyan of Chokhmah. This is what Chokhmah stands for. Shehu, which is in greater elaboration on a seichel level. On a seichel level, Chokhmah will be defined as hisamtus hadover. Hisamtus hadover. The conviction of the thing. I mean, sometimes here's the word emes. The conviction of the truth of something. Loi mitzal hasoga, not due to hasoga, not to due to any kind of explanation and understanding and grasp and making sense. Recognizing it's being convinced without any convincing argument. Kiyim. What then? How then do you know it? Only. Ma shebe'ein ha-seichel, that in his mind's eye, roye amitas hadover k'meishahu, he sees the truth of this thing, k'meishahu, as the thing is in truth in itself. That's meant roye amitas hadover. In his mind's eye, he sees Why we say seeing? Because he doesn't have an elaboration, there's not an explanation what it is that compels him to say that. He sees its truth. And again, you see the truth because it is true, because of its truth. Because truth is the only thing that really is most is the most visible thing that there is. Because it's self-substantiating. It's an initial truth. It doesn't need anything to substantiate it.
You may think truth's not open to human beings.
To me,
You may think truth is like his domain.
truth is not over there. In Chokhmah is not a human experience. He doesn't know what it is, what convincing him of it is.
Right. So because it's not a human faculty, so it partakes of.
It is a human
so-called
faculty,
godly-
but it's a human faculty because it was a gift milo. It's not something that you can develop on your own.
Okay. Hence, it's authentic. Reference. It's a imprint of truth itself.
That's right. I'll dramatize this statement for a moment. Really going all out. Say the Rebbe decides suddenly to eliminate the world. There's an expression sometimes. Rebbe says, I don't need the world. Forget it. He can limit the world in the blink of an eye, even less than that. Because the world exists only because he continues to maintain it. He ceases to maintain it, and there's no world. If we conceive of that type of possibility, we immediately say chas v'sholom. What's chas v'sholom about it? Let's say everything is eliminated without any suffering. There's no process of elimination.
To remain on this call, press 1. Returning to the conference room.
There's no process of elimination. There's no suffering. Why do we say chas v'sholom?
Because we want.
This is jump over. What do we say chas v'sholom? Because we have an insight in Chochmah of the phenomenal meaning, phenomenal truth that the world represents, the godly truth that the world represents. God had conceptualized the world from its inception. He gave it a godly meaning, a godly presence. To cease that would be chas v'sholom, an enormous loss. From whom? No, from no one. That's a AYIN. That the godly presence has been eliminated and has been withdrawn is chas v'sholom. Not on the worldly level. The world does not appreciate this kind of existence. The world appreciates experience and taste and so forth. This is beyond that completely. This truth of existence is perceived exclusively in Chokhmah. We cannot elaborate on it. There's no hasog in it. Only in Chokhmah. Because Chokhmah has it relates to emes. Chokhmah is the godly presence in the nefesh order. It's not a worldly presence. In essence, it's a godly presence. It was imbued given to the human being, but it still remains a godly spark in the human being. This is called hisamtus hadover. Hisamtus hadover means the full conviction of the inyan. Mind's eye, he sees it. And how does he see it? He doesn't see it because he sees it, he pictures it. He sees it from its inception, the way it is in itself. As it comes elsewhere, the Re'iyah as a Chochmah, that the sighting of Chochmah, the level of Chochmah, it is a seeing in Etzem HaMahus, in the Etzem of the Mahus, the Etzem of the truth of this inyan. Shelamayla Ma'asog. The word Lamayla Ma'asog does not mean, as we almost say, Lamayla Ma'asog, that it is it is more than comprehended. It's not being comprehended. It is completely beyond Hasog. There's nothing there that can be musuk. It's an intangible reality. Nothing that you have to be masik. Lamai me'asog. V'zohu b'chinas atzma ha'chochma. This is the bechina, what's called the bechina of atzma ha'chochma. This is the etzem ha'chochma. In chochma also there is different stages. Bechinas etzem ha'chochma is where the chochma exists in a person's mind without him being even aware of it. For example, what we just now discussed is the dramatic question. If we say the world should be eliminated, it's chas v'sholom. This is not from experience, not from experience of chochma either. It's from etzem ha'chochma. And this is the principle that we're saying, that the truth of Re'iyah, which is due to the fact that what you see has a fundamental truth beyond that which is proven, that which is shown, which is visible. It has a truth in and of itself. That's what is hisamtus. There's conviction without the process of conviction. We can start the parentheses, but we cannot go very far. In Chochma yesh gamkin, there too there is spheres, 10 spheres. It's an amazing thing. Here we're saying that it's a totally an intangible presence. There's no presence to it. And yet within that he's saying there's 10 spheres. This principle that the Chochmah there is also 10 spheres is an allusion to what we discussed in the last couple of days. That anything that is a divine creation has a full spectrum of existence. It is not just a mirage. It has a full structure from top to bottom, from the top, from the very inception to the very practical. Everything that constitutes a real existence exists at every level. because this is a godly creation. Anything godly is real. Thus, in Chochmah there is 10 Sfiras. The 10 Sfiras, this is the complement of a real presence. Although this presence is not really a tangible presence.
What do you mean a complement?
That which complement, which completes it, which the content. This is it, right?
Yes. You asked. I can't take any more today. I'm finished.
Hey, wake up, Shmuel, wake up.
Yeah, it's one thing waking up.